Donald Trump didn't lie about serving in the military. He didn't say that he went to Vietnam when he didn't. This is the problem. He actually will talk to anybody, but just because you talk to somebody doesn't mean you endorse their views. And look, I mean, Donald Trump spent a lot of quality time with my wife. Every time he sees her, he gives her a hug, tells her she's beautiful.
I did not know it was possible for a presidential campaign to have this bad of a day, this bad of a week, every single decision made by Donald Trump and the people around him. If only worked to dig themselves a deeper hole. And today was no different. Now J.D. Vance did multiple interviews. He talked to Dana Bash on CNN. He went on Face a Nation. He went on ABC, and good for him, for getting out there and campaigning. But every single one was an absolute disaster. And I want to break down some of my favorite moments from each clip and show you guys this leaked photo of J.D. Vance that makes him look like a total... If you could overdose on being a hypocrite, then J.D. Vance is nearing the lethal dose. Right now? First of all, let's watch this clip of J.D. Vance being confronted on Donald Trump. Not having served in the military, it's incredibly satisfying.
He received a medical draft deferment for bone spurs to avoid serving in the Vietnam War, reportedly as a favor to his father. Do you find that shameful, too?
I think that Donald Trump didn't serve in the military, but he didn't lie about it, Dana. I've known Donald Trump for a long time. He really honors our veterans. He honors me for my service. Donald Trump didn't lie about serving in the military. He didn't say that he went to Vietnam when he didn't. This is the problem. I don't criticize any...
Really clever way to deflect right there and say, hey, Donald Trump didn't lie about it. Meanwhile, Tim Walz didn't lie either. Tim Walz served 24 years. That is more time than J.D. Vance had been alive by the time J.D. Vance ended his service. So J.D. Vance has no place to talk about any of this stuff. Also, he always says, don't pretend to be like something. You are. J.D. Vance's entire career is built off of the back of pretending to be like something. He hasn't watched J.D. Vance get confronted about Trump having dinner with white supremacist Nick Fuentes.
So there's been a lot of talk about racism and whatnot. You faced some really nasty stuff. I saw this thing that Nick Fuentes, of course, he's an avowed white supremacist. He said, what kind of a man marries somebody named Usha? Clearly he doesn't value his racial identity, his heritage. I mean, this is racist garbage.
Yes, it is.
But this is also a guy that dined with Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago during this campaign.
Well, Donald Trump doesn't know anything about and frankly doesn't care for. But yeah, look, my attitude to these people attacking my wife is she's beautiful.
Wait, do you hear what he just said right there? Donald Trump doesn't know anything about and frankly doesn't care for. How do you not care for someone? If you don't know anything about them, this is something that Donald Trump does, time and time again. I mean, we can even take EEG Carol, for example. He said he's never seen the lady, he doesn't know her, but also he doesn't like her. He says this all the time with people. I don't know them, but they're a terrible person.
What kind of man marries Usha? A very smart man and a very lucky man, importantly. And my view is, look, if these guys want to attack me or attack my views, my policy views, my personality, come after me. But don't attack my wife. She's out of your league.
But, I mean, that dinner that Trump had, and of course it was Kanye West, the guy that's praised Hitler, who arranged it all, that was back a year and a half ago, and Trump still hasn't given a full-throated denouncement of this guy who said that terrible stuff, but he said, I mean, he's a white supremacist.
Look, I think President Trump has issued plenty of condemnations on this. The one thing that the one thing I like about Donald Trump, John, is that he actually will talk to anybody, but just because you talk to somebody doesn't mean you endorse their views. And look, I mean, Donald Trump spent a lot of quality time with my wife. Every time he sees her, he gives her a hug, tells her she's beautiful.
J.D. Vance is such a shell of a human and such a magiciant in a way that I could just never see Tim Walz doing. Even if Tim Walz found himself in the position where he had to defend VP Harris during an interview, which he probably will, you have to defend your running mate all of the time. He wouldn't do it in such a weird and creepy way, and he wouldn't make it so obvious that they are a cult. I mean, J.D. Vance is bending the knee for Donald Trump. But let's move on to this leaked photo of J.D. Vance that blows any argument he has out of the water. Against dressing, how he want that also makes him look like a huge hypocrite. This is a photo of J.D. Vance from his college years, and I had to wait a few hours to authenticate this photo before I could post this video. Make sure you leave a like and hit that subscribe button if you like. Responsible reporting. But J.D. Vance is essentially dressed in drag. He has a necklace. He has a wig. He absolutely has eyeliner on in this photo. You cannot tell me that he doesn't have some sort of eyeliner on in this photo. It's especially thick. But J.D. Vance is essentially dressed in drag. He has a dress on in this photo. And I want to point out, as Midas Touch points out, it's perfectly fine that J.D. Vance enjoys being in drag. He should be free to be his true self. It's his judgment of others that is the problem. I want to reiterate, the only problem here is that J.D. Vance wants to strip rights away from other people, while at the same time being able to be a part of the same movement. Whenever he wants, he selectively is outraged. He's not outraged when he does it. Or when Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani dress up as women, he's not enraged when any single Republican is caught in a gay club or whatever. But then, when any Democrat wants to express themselves, it is the end of the world. And again, we aren't judging J.D. Vance for dressing how he wants. We're judging him for being a hypocrite who wants to strip rights away from other people. This new report says, reports tie J.D. Vance to more extremists. Conspiracy theories. This came out today, and it details how Republican VP candidate J.D. Vance has connection to at least 2 more extremists. According to reports this week, this is already after J.D. Vance has written the foreword for the project, 2025 Lifebook, written by Kevin Roberts. This is already after J.D. Vance had his Venmo leaked, and we saw that he was friends with a lot of far billionaires. J.D. Vance has had so many resurfaced clips of him saying disgusting things about women. I mean, how much worse could this get? Now, there are also reports that J.D. Vance used to wear a communist t-shirt in photos. This photo has gone viral. But I will say, I do think it's more likely that he was wearing it, ironically, wearing the hammer and sickle as a joke, rather than him actually being a communist or being super far left from everything I've seen. It seems like he's doing this jokingly, and that does track with how college students genuinely are. J.D. Vance have been tied to 2 new extremists in addition to being friendly with far-right commentator who is exposed for his racist writings. Meanwhile, Elon Musk is reaching more than 1 billion people with his misleading election claims. Former President Donald Trump's running mate was in the news twice this week for his con to extremists. The revelations come a week after USA Today reported that Richard Hanania, a far-right commentator unveiled last year as the writer of racist essays on white supremacist websites, was one of the contributors to the Conservative Manifesto Project 2025. While also having a friendly relationship with J.D. Vance, on Wednesday, The Washington Post reported on Vance's 20 months of messages to Charles Johnson, a conspiracy theorist who has doubted the Holocaust and was banned from Twitter for veiled threats against an organizer of the Black Lives Matter movement. So just surrounding himself with great company, J.D. Vance's the same day. It was re-revealed. Vance endorsed an upcoming book authored by another far-right conspiracy theorist, Jack Boback. Shout out to him, he's attacked me before enemy of the show. Park was a major promoter of the discredited Pizzagate conspiracy theory. That's only the tip of the iceberg. Boback is a terrible, terrible human being who pushes every conspiracy theory possible. The book praises fascist dictators and describes the Fale as unhuman. Vance then wrote the foreword for another forthcoming book written by Kevin Roberts, one of the key architects of Project 2025. I don't know about the Republican voters, but the Republican leaders, the people, like Matt Gaetz, people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Donald Trump, J.D. Vance that are deceiving half the country. They are genuinely evil. I will end the video there. The moral of the story is that J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, everybody they surround themselves with, they are all hypocrites, and they will strip rights away from people, and they will do those same things themselves.